and everyone in Zoom land. I'm going to get started with the lecture. Going to talk this whole month. We're kind of dealing with stress. And so a few of us are going to be looking at it in different ways, how it affects the body, the brain, your cardiovascular system. I'm going to kind of do an overview. So just let me just ask, students included, who has stress in their life? If you're not raising your hand, you're lying. Raise your hand. Okay. Okay, I see Lolita has her hand raised. Anyone else on Zoom land? Or are you guys stress-free because you're home? Yeah. We all have some amount of stress, right? At any given time. So let's just kind of do a little bit of an overview on what it looks like and what we can do about it. My name is Cari Shulkin. I think everyone knows me, but maybe not. And I'm a nurse just retired from UC Davis. And this is actually one of my favorite talks to do. So before we get started, this is for everybody, including people in Zoom land. Let's get balanced in our space. So if you're not eating, uncross your legs. Yes. Uncross your legs. Feet are planted. Circle your shoulders a little bit. Take some deep breaths. In and out. Keep your back straight. Okay. It's a good way to start, huh? Okay, good. So balanced living. Balanced living means considering all aspects of your life, like relationships, work, fitness and health, and emotional well-being. So if you're not mindful of your balance, stress creeps in. You know what? I have animations. So I'm not sure how to. It is but that was an animated. Just a second, guys. This was an animated graphic, and it didn't come out as animated. Anyway, okay. So how stress affects you? So we have short-term effects and long-term. And it's mind, body, emotions, and behavior. So if you're super stressed out, tell me, how does it affect you? Anyone? Number one, sleep for me. Feeling overwhelmed. Can't think straight, like being a little unfocused. Yep. Overthinking. Me too. Irritable. Yes. You know, like you just, it's like overwhelmed. Yeah, it's all of that. All of that. So let's look at the immediate effects of stress, like on your mind. And so some of you guys talked about this. There's worry, the inability to concentrate, negativity, even making hasty decisions, like not really thinking it all the way through, having nightmares. Now, I haven't had nightmares, but I could see that kind of creeping in. And so with your body, you may feel you may have headaches or cluster headaches, definitely muscle tension. Like I can always feel it right through my shoulders and the back of my neck. Breathlessness, skin irritations, heart palpitations, and even high blood pressure. I can remember, I have one sister who's very, very anxious. And before I would come out to visit family, she would start scratching and scratching. And it's like, whenever we get there, we always have such a good time. But the lead up for me coming out, by the time I'd get there, she looked like she had scratched herself raw. And it's like, she goes, I don't know, I'm just stressed about you coming out. And it's like, well, is there something you need to tell me? Because we always have a good time. But again, it's skin irritations. It can manifest itself in a lot of different ways in your body. Oops. And emotions. So loss of confidence or motivation, irritability or anger, sadness, depression, anxiety. And then even with our behavior, some people to deal with stress, they'll overeat or they'll undereat, or maybe they'll use tobacco, definitely not sleeping well, or even socially withdrawal and have angry outbursts. So anyone here or in Zoom land experience any of these effects when we're talking? Leanne has none of these effects when she deals with stress. So avoidance and denial is another one that I think we need to add to them. But there's a few that I have experienced, and I'm assuming you guys have experienced as well. Yeah. So what are some of the long-term effects? So we all have short-term effects. I mean, even like last night, I'm trying to update this PowerPoint, but the finale of White Lotus also I needed to watch. And so I was getting a little stressed because which is more important, so I did both. So let's think about the long-term effects of stress. Okay, so let's talk about mind. Okay, definitely memory disturbances. Okay, learning delays, even suicidal thoughts. I know when there's been a big trauma, big life change that could be very traumatic, memory is definitely affected. Timelines can be affected. I was just talking, I can't remember if it was with Rob, or maybe it was John, I think it was Rob, that, he's going through a lot of stuff, and it's like your mind will only allow you to deal with what you can deal with, and it will make you forget things just so you don't become overloaded. It's the way that your mind can be very protective of yourself. And so it's a good thing, except you feel like, why can't I remember the conversation I just had, 3 minutes ago with Leanne? That kind of stuff. Your body, it can affect your immune system. It can develop migraines, of course, weight loss or weight gain, depending on how you're dealing with your stress, chronic pain, even heart disease. And so Sharon's actually going to do a talk about stress and how it affects your cardiovascular system. It can affect your GI system as well, with things like IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. And emotions, bless you, mood swings, depression, PTSD, anxiety disorders, sense of loneliness and isolation. I mean, it takes a big toll on mind, body, emotions, and let's see, behavior. So if you're not dealing with your stress, you're going to have issues with sleeping. There could actually be substance abuse if that's one way of dealing with stress, sexual dysfunction, anger outbursts, and then even nervous habits. So it's taking its toll on the body if you're having a lot of stress that is considered now long-term. And so we really want to be aware and look for those signs so we can develop coping mechanisms for stress so it's not hurting our bodies. So stress in your heart. Now Sharon's going to go into much more detail, but what we know is basically stress can zap your energy. It wreaks havoc on your sleep, and it makes you feel cranky, forgetful, and out of control. A stressful situation sets off a chain of events, and your body releases adrenaline, or hormone that temporarily causes your breathing and heart rate to speed up and your blood pressure to rise. And these reactions prepare you to deal with that situation, that fight or flight response, right? And so that can be a good thing, right? But think about your day. Let's just think about a day of getting ready to go to work. So your alarm doesn't go off, so you're already late. You're trying to get, there's no hot water in the shower, and your kids are cranky, making you later, and no one can find their backpack. And so you finally get everyone packed up, you're taking them to school, and someone inevitably forgot their homework. So you're turning around. Now you're late for school, drop off. And now you still have to get to work. And so like the fight or flight response is one thing, but when it ends up being a long-term effect, because now you're at work, and I don't know if anyone works in a place that's stress-free. Now there's more stress. So that adrenaline is still going through your body. And it's not until you get home, hopefully, that you can de-stress, but maybe you can't, because now dinner has to be made, and now homework has to be done with the kids. And then who's going to do laundry? And, so if it's that way day after day after day, it's affecting your body as well. So fight or flight response is one thing. But if it becomes a long-term, and looking at your lifestyle and what you're dealing with every day, hour to hour, can be beneficial to see where you can kind of lighten up that load. When stress is constant, your body remains in high gear, off and on for days or weeks at a time. And chronic stress may cause some people to drink too much alcohol or to smoke tobacco to deal with stress, which can increase your blood pressure and may damage your artery walls. So like I said, Sharon's going to go into more detail about stress and your heart, cardiovascular system. So perception and stress. So stress varies in people due to their individual circumstances, as well as their perception of events. So considering perception is helpful when assessing your stress. So do you understand what I'm saying? And can anyone give me an example of that? Otherwise, I can share an example. Yeah.
I would say perception is how you view the situation, like the situation that you were given. You could either view it as, oh, again, this is happening again, or you can be thankful and grateful that you have children. And
yeah, it's that perception. Yep, that's perfect. I think of when I was working, and I was working with nurses and dietitians and social workers, and mostly women. And I can remember hearing all the women's stories about going through menopause, and how, for the most part, devastating, and how, just impactful and awful it can be. And so I'm like, oh my, what am I in for? Now I have two older sisters, right? And so, I was starting to show signs of going through menopause, and I'm feeling very stressed about it. And I finally talked to my sisters, and they're like, it was nothing. We didn't have, neither one of them had a whole lot of symptoms, and, kind of breezed through. And it was like, okay. And all of a sudden, I was okay. Like, instead of my perception of what the expectation is, listening to all of these terrible stories, my perception changed because I talked to people who shared my DNA that would give me a more accurate idea of what maybe would lay ahead. And it was pretty much uneventful. So stress resides neither in the situation nor in the person. It depends on a transaction between the two. So perception is influenced by many factors, such as our beliefs, our level of pessimism or optimism, our degree of stress hardiness, commitment, control, challenge. So, we're bringing everything with us. This is our narrative. This is our story. And this is what we bring on how we deal with life and how we deal with stress. So stress hardiness is someone who has developed lots of ways to cope and manage stress and, you know, can deal with it well. Some people don't have stress hardiness, and we all know some people like that that tend to fall apart. I call them, our delicate flowers, right? We all know a delicate flower, right? Right? Could be me. But I like that. And I think, John, isn't this kind of what you were talking about when we talked a little bit earlier?
No, I don't think so.
No? Ron. Oh, well, then never mind. So finding balance again. So let's just take 1 second and look at these graphics. And if this doesn't make you feel a little smile coming on your face or a little warm and fuzzy, then what the heck is wrong with you? Because it's a kitty and it's a baby with those cherub cheeks or a beautiful mountainscape, right? So finding pleasure and happiness in things that you can look at. So boosting happiness and creativity. So what does that look like? So being optimistic gives you a better outlook on life. But it can take practice to choose optimism. Because we all know the pessimist, right? There's always one we all know of. And it's you almost kind of wonder, do they wake up and choose to be that way? Right? And if you find yourself going to the negative, it can take practice, but you can choose optimism. Doesn't happen overnight. Surrounding yourself with good people also is very important. So take care of yourself and indulge in creative outlets. Take time each day to allow yourself to de-stress. So plan to exercise and plan to eat right. So I have to say, this whole program is built to help people deal with stress, right? We have social interactions. We have very positive people led by, Linda. Linda is the optimistic guru. We're exercising, we're eating right, we're getting education. Because of some of our students, we've delved into our creativity side with that. We want to do this because you deserve it, right? There's nothing more important than our own mental health and the way we deal with our lives, because the minute we don't have our health, we don't have anything, right? And we take that for granted sometimes. As the older I'm getting, the less I take that for granted. I'm very, very aware of the health I have. I'm very happy for it, and I want to maintain it. So don't forget to laugh. It alleviates stress. It fights off infections. It boosts brain health. It lowers blood pressure, and it improves your mood. Okay. Linda actually was going to do a lecture on laughter is the best medicine this month, but she'll actually probably do it in May. I'm going to ask her to do it in May, because laughter is a really good piece of medicine with all these types of benefits as well. So did you know it has been estimated that about 60 to 90% of all visits to your primary care physicians are for stress-related problems? Okay. So life balancing strategies. So let's talk about some strategies. But before we go through that, tell me, what are some ways you guys deal with stress? First of all, let's talk to the students. Well, you're a student. Oh, so one likes to journal. Brilliant. What do you, walking and being outdoors? How do you deal with stress? Oh, just kind of detach and get lost in watching videos. Yep, I like that. How about this group? How do you deal with stress? Meditative time. Anyone else? Exercising. I have to have my walk in the morning with a couple neighbors. Anyone else? Deep breaths. Here's a few other, just affirmations, some positive thoughts. Mindfulness, meditation, breathing techniques, which we'll go over, of course, exercise, eating healthy. Oh, yoga. Which reminds me, Linda Larson, who does our mindfulness practice, is coming up on April 17th. So if you haven't done one of her classes, that would be a good one to take to help relieve stress. Always try to always surround yourself with optimistic, positive people. It really has an impact. Okay. Let's do some breathing techniques. And I think throughout, probably with Linda Larson and through many different avenues, you've done some diaphragmatic breathing or deep breathing. And I've seen it taught in a lot of different ways. This is the way I was taught, and it just makes sense to me. So one hand on your chest, and one hand on your belly, kind of just relax. And we're going to inhale, but we want to make sure we're feeling our chest, that it's not, because when I'm breathing, my chest rises. But I'm going to keep my hand on my chest, and I'm going to push my belly out with my inhale. So when that happens, my chest doesn't rise. If I really concentrate and inhale, so my chest is not rising, but I'm pushing my belly out with that inhalation, see if that happens. And then when you exhale, bring that belly in. So let's try it again. Inhale and exhale. So it takes concentration, unless you're a singer or you play an instrument, which I do neither. So this is very foreign to me. So is anyone in here a singer, or do you naturally breathe, do belly breathing? Yeah. Yeah. Anyone else are singers? Do you belly breathe normally then? Oh.
I wasn't a singer, but I played control. And the first thing they teach you in seventh grade is that you're going to be playing 2 or 3 measures of notes, so you can't breathe up here, you have to breathe down here. So it was years of learning to do that regular.
So you do it naturally. Yeah. Kudos, that's a good thing, because that's a really great way to regulate your breathing. It's a way to kind of manage your heart rate, your blood pressure. But for those of us who do not sing or play an instrument, it's foreign, because I'm used to just, my lungs fill up. So this is one way of making sure your chest is not rising and your belly's going out. So the idea is, if it's something that you want to learn, you should probably be practicing it a few minutes, 5 minutes, like every day. Or take up an instrument or start singing and have your mentor show you how to do it as well. Okay, another technique is called the 6-second pause. Does anyone know what that is? Oh, okay, what did he do?
We stopped everything and said, okay, we're going to inhale for 4 counts, hold it in for 6 counts, breathe out for 8 counts.
Oh, okay, that's something different. that is a really great way to help you sleep, actually, too.
Or just relax.
And just to relax as well. Yes. This is a little bit different, but thanks for bringing that up because I didn't even add that to this lecture. So it's inhaling for a count of 6 or 7, exhaling for 7 or 8, and no. Hold it, inhaling for 6 or 7 count, holding it for 6 or 7 count, and then exhaling on 4. Wasn't it something like that? That's what the Marines were taught. That's
Where they are.
right. Right. The 6-second pause is a stress management technique where you briefly pause for 6 seconds before reacting to a stressful situation. So if someone is blowing at you, instead of just saying, stop, or, what are you doing? You're an idiot for yelling at me like that. It's a 6-second pause, allowing your rational brain to process the situation and choose a more thoughtful response instead of an impulsive response. It's hard to do, but that pause can make the difference of keeping a friend or not fighting with a spouse. It's that 6-second pause. And the science behind it, when faced with the stressful situations, our body releases those stress hormones, triggering that fight or flight response. And those hormones surge for about 6 seconds before naturally dissipating, giving us a brief window to regain control. Okay. So we can't really practice it because I don't want anyone going through a stressful situation, but keep that in the back of your mind. If you're dealing with someone, at the Rayleigh's counter or, anywhere, not necessarily, what? Well, yeah, I guess I was going to say not really in the car because it just goes so quickly and, but that 6-second pause can make the difference of having a more controlled response versus an impulsive response. A mindfulness and guided imagery. Now, Linda Larson does that. There's all kinds of techniques you can pick up on apps on your phone or YouTube videos that can, bring you through guided imagery that can really kind of remove you from the situation and let your mind kind of relax. Meditation as well. Whether, Ron, you said you can do meditation on your own, which is great. Some people may need help, again, an app, or just even experimenting it with, or at least being exposed with going to a class of Linda Larson's as well. Having a positive perception. So focus on things you can control, right? The things you can control. You can't control anyone else in the room, but I can control myself, and I can control my response with a 6-second pause and putting things into perspective as well. Acceptance and coping. So these are great ideas, right? But then implementing them, it's more than just talking about it, and implementing them is really kind of this breakdown that you'll have to do. And I've got a plan for that. So one of the students said that she journals. I want to take that one step farther. And, if you're in a really bad place and there's a lot of stress and it's all coming down at one time, there's still something you are grateful for. And it's buried deep when you're really super stressed. And so if you write down 3 things every day that you are really, really grateful for in the midst of this, storm of stress, it's going to bring that focus back to something positive. And we all have something that we're grateful for, right? I mean, there's so many things we actually are grateful for that maybe we just have to remind ourselves. And this is evidence-based. Journaling, gratitude, does wonders for your mental outlook. Self-care. So what are the things you enjoy doing for yourself? What is it? A pedicure? Is it going to Home Depot? Is it getting lost in a movie? You know, whatever it is, take time and do the things that you want to do. Consider your options for managing stress. You can avoid the problem solve, manage fight or flight response. Just revisit that situation later. You know, which means you have to take inventory on how you're responding, right? So additional resources. So you gotta love the apps on your phone. But there's also books. Linda just brought out a book for me to see that not all stress is bad. Some stress is good. Like it was something like stress that can get you through the day or something like that. There's community classes, there's videos. That the app Calm, I think is a subscription if I recall. Does anyone, is it? It is. Do you know how much it is?
Yeah, you can pay either monthly or pay.
Yeah.
It's a few dollars.
Yeah, okay. If it works, it's worth it, right? But here's a way to create your own action plan. So like if you feel like you're really kind of getting out of control, what are your 3 top stressors? You know, right now, is it finances? Is it, you know, your neighbor that is just a pest and is always poking at you because he doesn't like the leaves on your tree falling in his yard or whatever, you know, what are the top 3 stressors that you have? And when you're dealing with them, what happens to you? You know, do you lose a lot of sleep? Do you, you know, tend to drink a lot of alcohol? Do you, you know, what is it? What happens to you? And what might you do about it? Like, what are some things you can do about it? It could be the 6-second approach. It could be journaling, you know, just what might you do about it? As opposed to just reacting whenever when you're dealing with these stressors. Like have a plan, because if you have a plan and it's written out, then you're more likely to do it and it will be a way to cope. So I want to show you a quick video and then I'm going to go over a little questionnaire that I want to see if you guys were listening or not. But let me see.
You're laying some stress on us.
I'm going to give you guys a little bit of stress. So I'm going to end my show, right? And then so are they, is that not, is it being seen?
It's just slowed a little bit.
Should I try?
Watch this. One little piece of paper can have a remarkable effect. Stress is stressful. But if you understand a bit about what it is, you'll be better able to deal with it. First though, take a few deep breaths. In fact, do that anytime you feel stressed. It helps. Stress is a survival mechanism. When danger appears, it can get you out of trouble quickly. Your body crashes up the gears and throws all its resources into getting you moving. Your heart pumps furiously to increase blood pressure, glucose is sent to the muscles as a fuel injection, and you become totally focused on what psychologists call fight or flight. Thing is, this emergency state is only meant to last just long enough to get you out of danger. But here in the 21st century, we stress about different things. and for much, much longer. Your brain and body stay on red alert, and you'll be less able to think clearly, learn, or remember things. Take a few more deep breaths, because as you now know, stress is a physical reaction, and deep breathing helps to counteract its effects. So, what else can you do? Okay, top tips to reduce stress. First, get plenty of exercise. Let out all that locked up energy. Now, back to the problem. Get in control. Scope out the situation and how you're going to tackle it. Don't stress alone. Talk to someone. Socialize. And have a laugh. You can't laugh and quake with fear at the same time. Get down with nature on a big or small scale. And if your mind won't stop worrying, give it something else to do instead.
I hadn't noticed that the last thing was the bubble wrap, popping the bubbles on bubble wrap. That's so funny because that's something I haven't done in a long time. Does anyone have any questions? Otherwise, I want to ask you guys a few questions. No? Yeah.
Over and over, what I get stressed being with her. And I don't want to trick her or put her down for it. First stress makes me very stressful.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Do I just hold it in, but sometimes
Well, does she want to get help for that?
well, it's interesting because sometimes I'll give her a reframe thought and she goes back to playing.
Oh, yeah,
So, probably she does. I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't thought about it.
that's a tough one. That's something, I mean, you have to take care of yourself, number one, right? No, exactly. Excuse me. And maybe your positivity and your optimism will have some type of effect on her. Because what if, and it's all this blah, 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 and you can turn it around and say, well, what if we go and have lunch and have a great time and I don't want to miss out on this experience with being with you. Sometimes overloading people, killing them with kindness is a way to, elicit some change, maybe. Maybe. Okay. Which one is not an immediate effect of stress on the mind? Which is not? Is worry? Which one is not an immediate effect of stress on the mind? Worry, inability to concentrate, negativity, hasty decisions, or clarity? Yes. Which is not an immediate effect of stress on the body? Purple skin tone, headache, muscle tension, breathlessness, skin irritations. Purple skin tone. They're getting easier. Which is not a long-term effect of stress on emotions? Mood swings, depression, PTSD, anxiety, red hair. Stress resides neither in the situation nor in the person. It depends on a transaction between the two. Is that true or false? Which does laughing not do? Alleviate stress, boost brain health, lower blood pressure, improve your mood, or invite infection? 50% of all primary care visits are for stress-related problems. True or false?
Oh.
It was 60 to 90%. And which is not a life balancing strategy? Affirmations, mindfulness, meditation, yoga, or 7 shots of tequila? What is one thing that is not important to have in action? What is the one thing that is not important to have on an action plan to deal with stressors? To identify your top 3 stressors, to identify what happens to you with those stressors, identify what strategies you can use, or hold your breath and count to 10.
Hold your breath and count.
Leading a stress-free life is really easy to do if you put your mind to it. It's really easy. Come on, everybody. What's wrong with you? Sleeping during a lecture is a good way to practice stress management. Agree, unless the lecture is on stress management. Agree, catching the Z's makes me feel better. Agree, I know everything and I don't need to learn. Disagree, staying awake during lectures so I may learn something about dealing with my stress. Time to wake up. Any thoughts, comments, concerns? Anything anyone wants to share? Yeah.
Well, through this whole talk, I've been concentrating on the lower right portion of the screen there. And what gives me relief is 100% free cremation costs.
We'll wrap you in canvas and call it good.
That's part of your promotion. You don't have to-
Notice that. And Linda always is here and she always makes the screen big, and I did not even catch that. Well, that's something we can talk about. Jody, did you have a question?
No, it wasn't a question. I learned something that I could say I should have known, but I responded to one of my daughters 9 o'clock at night. And I was very emotional in the response that I get after. Talked with a friend about it, and he happens to be a psychiatrist. And he said, don't ever test with emotions. Sure that I have to tell her about.
Here's the other thing with text. There's no emotion. It can be read in any way. It could be read, oh, that it was anger, that it was sarcasm. If talking to someone is really probably the best way to communicate.
My son calls me anytime after 6. I don't answer.
Well, that's a good rule. Yeah. Yeah. That's good. That's good. Yeah.
Did you know that?
We figured it out right now.
We imagine things that aren't happening or could happen or whatever. Sometimes they don't ever happen. And yet
Yeah. That's what you were saying. The unknown. Stressing about the unknown. Yeah.
Don't you think it's part of people's personality to be negative or positive?
I do. I think it's an innate, trait.
Yeah. There's this woman who was giving me all the what ifs. Dodie reminded me, what if this happens? And so I gave her the silver lining. And what if this happens? And I showed her a positive outlook. And what if this happens? And I, one more time said, but this could happen as well.
Yeah.
And she said, Leanne, what are you doing? I says, I'm giving you the silver lining. She said, stop, that thing's going to fall on my head.
Oh my goodness.
Some people don't like the silver lining.
Yeah.
They don't like the positive aspect.
Those are
You
hard people
add-
to be around.
Yes,
Yeah.
you add to their stress.
Yeah,
If you try to
that's
be
funny.
too positive with them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Then you just say, well, then we're all dead.
yeah,
And then, so we might as well part.
Yeah. Might as well party.
Any other thoughts? Questions, concern? Anyone want to share anything?
One thing there's a lot of these structured things about what we do, a lot of sort of electrolyzing, and a lot of times, especially the little stress that I have, I've found in taking the words out and tuning up the other senses so that I'm listening, when I walk through the light door and I listen to the birds, I listen to whatever's going on, I smell, I feel, trying to get outside of verbalizing and chattering in the background, clear that out and go for the other senses. Sometimes just getting into the place again,
Yeah,
that helps you refresh.
yeah.
It's, it takes you to a different day.
Getting out of your own head and living in the present and being aware of what's happening right now.
Smell at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else, guys? Otherwise, thank you. Anyone from Zoom land have any questions, comments, concerns?
Well, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Deidre.
Okay, the other thing, we have optimists, we have pessimists, and then there's reality. I like to have the optimism that goes with reality,
yeah, for sure. Yeah,
not
not
pretend.
rose-colored glasses. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Thanks, Suzanne.
thanks for your presentation.
Deidre may have had something to say. She was muted.
I don't see her. Deidre, did you have a question? You're muted. So in the lower left-hand corner of your screen, the audio, can you click on that? There you go.
Yeah. No, I think your presentation was wonderful. I can
I'm so
so
glad that you
relate in
joined.
so many ways. I'm basically
Good.
an optimist, so I am, definitely. I really am.
Great. I'm so
Took
glad that
some
you
good
joined.
notes down here.
Yeah, I just want to share with
Oh,
everyone,
thank you.
Deidre is fully engulfed in our program all through Zoom mostly, right?
Oh, totally, yeah.
Totally, yeah. Awesome. That makes me really happy.
Saves me. I don't lie. It really makes it all possible for me.
Yeah, yeah, great, great.
And it's a
Okay, everyone,
blessing.
have a
It
great
really
day.
is. It's
We'll
wonderful.
see you,
Thank
hopefully,
you, Cari. Thank you.
we'll see
You
you at the
too.
circuit.
Bye.